about, which is what is the likelihood that in the absence of federal action, the individual states will be able to push forward single-payer reform or something like it under their own economic auspices?
There are a number of states that do have single-payer legislation in various stages. Many of you know California's passed it twice now, and they're about to pass it the third time. Their governor keeps vetoing it. There has been some concern because this current legislation does not provide the waivers for states to do single-payer and prohibits states from doing anything new until 2017, but they have to set up an exchange in 2014, which makes it unlikely that a state is going to go to all the effort of developing an exchange and then 3 years later dismantle it for single-payer. But despite that, there is a strong optimism in Congress that if a state were able to pass single-payer at the state level, that would give us the impetus that we need to pass those waivers and to get that date reduced. So we are working with Dennis Kucinich, who has other members of Congress who are very supportive of this, and actually they have a joint letter coming out. It should have come out this week, but I've been here all week, so I haven't seen it. 4 state legislators reassuring them that go ahead and do this at the state level, and we'll do the work in Congress to push it through at that level at that point, because then it becomes a matter of states' rights, and that's a whole different ballgame. Did you want to make a comment on that?
Only to say, don't pit the struggle for the federal law against the struggle for various state laws. It's both and this ERISA statute, which is very formidable. So even with the waiver, there's going to be tremendous litigation that's going to tie people up forever. So that we really need to, again, I keep going back to building the political muscle to bring this into existence at the federal level. But state folks will have lessons learned, and we can all work together. But the likelihood of victory that way is not does not have the same promise of what happened in Canada and the way they did it there in the United States.
And I just want to emphasize that we do need to keep the national movement going, as John was saying. If we pass at the state level, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to suddenly do this at the national level. We've got to do the national work to make sure that that happens.
Well, I wonder if you want to actually say anything about plans for 2012 that you were talking to me about a day or two ago regarding candidates.
Sure. We have a group of organizations and people that are meeting regularly. It's still coming together. Right now we're calling it the 2012 Project, and it is to build this political muscle. One of the avenues, of course there are many ways to build this political muscle, but to form a solid block of candidates. Our goal is every congressional district. I'm not sure that we'll make it that, but so far we have about 70 people who have committed to run for Congress. We're looking for people who are from our single-payer activist community, people that are already solid on the issue, and then we're starting to work already to do the phone banking, to build up the database, the solid voting block in every congressional district of single-payer supporters. We're looking for people who might want to work with us on that, either helping with the phone banking, or getting involved as a candidate, or if you know somebody who would be a candidate. At this point, I would ask you to contact me personally. We'll start making announcements after the November elections, but that work is already in place for 2012.
I'd like to try to move this microphone a little bit so that I can almost look at most of you. Coming from a rural area for more than 20 years, my concern has been about people who have Medicaid. And the problem in our, 5-county predominantly rural area has been, of course, there's a limited number of physicians, and the physicians more or less have to limit how many patients, like just say 10% of their practice, because financially they would receive $6 to $13 for an office visit by a Medicaid patient. And so you can't fill up your whole schedule, with Medicaid patients that still pay your office staff and rent and so on and so forth, have anything left over. Well, I'm not quite sure when this began to happen, but I would say in the 1980s. in Michigan, we began to have what were called informed choice plans. And one of them was Health Plus. It was available to UAW members, which my husband is one of them. We could also have Blue Cross, traditional, office type services. Gradually, we learned what Health Plus and informed choice meant was you made this choice. So if you're not getting services, that was your choice. For example, Health Plus encouraged physicians to use sample medications donated by pharmacy representatives that would come around. Don't write a prescription. We don't want to pay for it. They did not cover, in their offices, they did not provide childhood immunizations, the very start of protecting health care for our nation. They said, well, your taxes go to pay for the county to provide, a county health department that provides immunizations. So you take your child and wait in line. It doesn't matter if you were working, a shift and what have you at General Motors. You would just have to, take off work and go during the time that clinic would be offered and available. So Health Plus does not have a very good name. However, in Genesee and Lapeer counties, I began to notice that certain Medicaid patients were being given Health Plus cards. Now, this is expanding tremendously. During this year, 2010, there's a new company that has come into our area, and Blue Cross is also setting up one. And this is the famous patient-centered medical care home. You get a card, you're committed to that medical practice. They're supposed to take care of all your needs. You don't even call the insurance company to approve a visit to the emergency room, say, whereas all the ads are saying if you have pain in your left arm, numbness in your jaw, go to the emergency room. Don't be calling, somebody else while you're having a heart attack. Okay. The patient-centered medical care home, the doctors are supposed to answer all the calls. The question was put at Genesis Hospital, will you have available any computer, records of the patient when you're at McDonald's or, at the beach? No. You're just going to tend to their needs. However, you're going to be doing this 24 hours a day unless you have a multi-physician office, which many of the participants don't have. So, this is how they're already starting to shut these people into these very limited programs.
Thank you for sharing that with us. This is the problem with the system, the non-system that we have, and we see abuses in many different ways.
Well, thank you, Jamal. It is so good to see you again. I think the last time that we were in the same room together was in Louisiana in December of 2005 after Katrina, when we were talking about how to pull that struggle together. Can you believe it's almost 5 years?
Yes, thank you.
It's good to see you. But Dr. Flowers, you're supposed to be in North Carolina where I live. My friend Jonathan Koch has solicited me to help with organizing your visit in October. And I just wanted to mention that what we're really trying to do in North Carolina is build the kind of strategic alliances around single payer. And believe it or not, the Democratic Party of North Carolina voted to support single payer overwhelmingly. And that's because the progressive Democrats of America in North Carolina do control significantly the Democratic Party there. It is quite an unusual thing. But we have an ability to build these kind of strategic alliances in that way. And I'm just hoping that you would think in terms of your plans to come down for a visit, because I think we have a plan for a 3-city tour, Charlotte, Greensboro, and the Triangle area for you in October. So I'm looking forward to us tying down the date so that we can do that. But I'd just like to hear from Ajamu and you in particular what you think is possible with these strategic alliances